quality that a person can, that a human being can create as far as a custom asset goes. So to use something that AI concocted, there's always going to be some kind of a quality issue there. And I've never been happy with them.
Good morning and welcome to episode 84 of the Sandbox.Space weekly podcast. I am your host, Chris, joined as always by Pumpkin, who's over there, Baby, who's in my lap, and every week we have a special guest. This week's guest is specialer than the last. Jason Wheeler, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. Thank you.
So, Jason, you are you're a developer at Nationwide Children's Hospital. You've also been a part of the GDEX community, a speaker there, and part of the community for eons now. Do you want to let folks know a little bit about kind of what you do, what your experience is, and before we get started?
Sure. Yeah, I have been doing GDEX since I was doing little indie experiments back in the day. So I really have a lot of good experience with it and enjoy doing GDEX as often as I can. Right now, I'm currently working for Nationwide Children's, and my official title is an interactive media developer. So we do all sorts of things from just simple web pages that are asking questions and being a survey to virtual reality applications for training folks how to de-escalate heated situations within hospital scenarios.
Nice. Yeah, I remember once we never got the gig, but we did a RFP for, oh man, what was it? Was it Medicaid maybe? And it was a teaching program to help providers, doctors, nurses, nurse practitioners to engage with like Medicaid patients in a variety of different scenarios.
Mhm.
And we put in, and I think we were partnered with Nationwide on that, but we never ended up winning the bid for it. But it was a pretty cool thing. And then of course we worked with Nationwide on a variety of different projects before. But you're one of the folks. I'm glad that the rest of the world is kind of seeing the value in interactive design and gaming technologies. Because when we first started this gig, trying to explain interactive experiences to people was often like talking to a brick wall. So I'm glad that a lot of other organizations are beginning to see the value in it. I don't know if that's like how that's changed for you over. How long have you been at Nationwide at this point?
I've been there just over 2 years now. So
Okay, so still a little fresh.
yeah.
But yeah, just being able to talk with people and people being able to see what these technologies can lead to, I think is really it's really exciting, and it opens up a lot of doors, particularly when I teach the intro to game design course, and I think a lot of people think about games as like you go into the games industry, you go work at
hmm
Bungie or whatever. But there's lots of ways in which you can use these technologies outside of, quote unquote traditional. Do you want to get down, sweetheart? What do you want? You want to get down? All right. Here's baby. For those, I know there's always those looking for. Um, so what are some of the things that obviously not violating like NDA or whatever, but like what are some of the kind of the projects you work on? What's exciting about what you do to you or for
I'm
you?
not sure that we have anything that's actually covered under NDA, so we should be okay to talk about most
Okay.
anything. Um, a lot of the stuff that was going on there before I was working, they were um, the application was kind of designed to be a pain management application, and it was designed for research. So we have a sponsor doctor, Dr. Henry Zhang, who was wanting to find out whether or not we could use virtual reality for pain management. So the idea is take a person who was potentially a burn victim, and while they're changing wrappings, which is extremely painful for a burn victim,
Mm-hmm.
changing the bandages on their arms, their legs, and whatnot. Put them on in a VR headset, and then put them in a nice, calm, relaxing situation, and then give them something to kind of distract them. So in this situation, you're floating around what they call a lazy river. It's just a loop around a circular area. It's a very cool environment. It's snowy. There's a little bit of Christmassy type decorations in there. So it's very much a winter scene. And you would just kind of like sit there or lay there, and you would look up at these crystals that would form above you. And as you looked at the crystal, it was using your gaze, not your eye tracking, but you're just the center of your vision and seeing where you're at. It would detect if you looked at it for 2 or 3 seconds, and then it would bust and you would score some points, and it would get progressively a little more difficult. You'd get more crystals here and there just to kind of keep an interest in things. And it was purely a distraction, and they would just kind of not really understand or really or sense what's going on outside. And so, as they're wrapping the bandages, they need less pain medications. They would need less like opiates and stuff like that, which, as we know, can be addictive and cause a lot of problems. So
Yeah.
it had an excellent goal, and he's done a lot of research on that. And actually, at the nationwide XR symposium last year, he did a talk it's the first time I've really got to hear about that project, because this one's before my time. And it was just really interesting to hear all the information and the studies they had done on it. And I encourage you to go out there and try to find some that I can maybe send you some links
Yeah,
later on
please
if you.
do. I'd be
Yeah.
interested in attending the XR symposium sometime too. I've never
Oh
been.
yeah, it's next month.
Um, what VR system are you guys using over there?
We use the Pico 3i, which is an eye tracking headset. And if you're familiar with Pico, it's ByteDance puts
Okay.
these out. So, the same, what's that, TikTok? They own TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a little bit of um, concern. Some people have concerns with them as far as privacy and whatnot, because they are a Chinese company. But we've never had any issues with them. They work fantastic. We can control them through Manage XR, so we can push applications out to them, remove applications to them. Yeah, so they've been great little headsets. Now we're a bit behind. They have a 4 out now. We're gonna need to look into that.
Sure. Yeah.
But yeah.
Is there an audio component too? Do you guys have like sounds and music, or is it? Yeah. Okay. I know
Yeah,
the
yeah, we have
go ahead.
a lot of stuff we use is stuff that we have found out there that we were able to purchase and use royalty free. But we do have one of our coworkers, Brandon. He does some custom music for us now and again, and custom sound effects. And actually, it wasn't this year, but last year's GDEX, we had a little video of Brandon making water drop sounds as he's throwing things in glass jars.
Oh, nice.
It was fun to watch. So.
Yeah, like that kind of stuff. It's funny. The same thing at this year's. I don't. Did you go and see um Skookum Arts like camera setup for like the 3D
Mhm.
models? Do you see that? Like
Yeah, that was.
yeah, when we were kind of talking, because they weren't sure what they were going to do, and they didn't think they had made enough progress on their game to showcase something, and they're like, we could come and show like the behind the scenes like camera setup. Do you think anybody would be interested in that? I was like, yes, I think people would be interested. Like the GDEX audience wants to see all that kind of weird crap, like how things are made, how the sausage is made, as they say, and how you can like put these technologies together, because that's hey pumpkin, that's what a lot of us are interested in, is not only just making a game per se, but we just want to know all the like cool little ins and outs of how do you solve problems, and there's always like creative solutions to things. I'm trying to remember. Oh my god, there was like it was like a behind the scenes for, maybe it was like The Last of Us or something, and it was like a documentary, and the documentary crew was talking to like the audio designers and the Foley guys, and they were talking about how they went through like these all these like long steps to create this one sound effect and how they put it together. And the guy behind the camera was like, "Oh, it's kind of like a popping a Snapple top." And both of the audio guys looked at each other and they're like, yes, we should have just done that. That would have saved us a tremendous amount of time. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
but that's all part of the learning experience, right?
Yep. Yep.
Sweet. Well, we've got some interesting things to talk about. I'm going to kind of end with do you guys do any, either at work or personally, do you do any console development?
We've never really done console development at all. And No, I mean, if you count a VR headset as a console, would you? I mean,
Sure, I
we,
guess, but
we work with the Meta Quest as well, so it's
okay. Because there's an interesting thing that the Microsoft CEO said. But before we do that, I always feel like I'm such the bearer of bad news, but we have to talk about these things because every week we talk about layoffs. So Amazon to shed 14,000 jobs to be organized more leanly, that's in quotes, despite acknowledging it is performing well. This is from gamesindustry.biz, and it is Vicky Blake. So Amazon is shedding around 14,000 jobs as part of an organizational changes to get even stronger by further reducing bureaucracy, removing layers, and shifting resources to ensure we're investing in our biggest bets, what matters most to our customers' current and future needs. The big thing here is that they're attributing a lot of this to AI. What we need to remember is that the world is changing quickly. This generation of AI is the most transformative technology we've seen since the internet, and it's enabling companies to innovate much faster than ever before in existing market segments and altogether new ones. We're convinced that we need to be organized more leanly with fewer layers and more ownership to move as quickly as possible for our customers and our business. So, Jason, do you buy it? Do you buy it? Does that argument hold water for you?
I don't feel like you're going to get real good quality work out of the AI, so we'll
Yeah.
see how it goes.
Yeah, I mean, 14,000 people, that's a lot of people to lose to
Yeah,
AI. And
they said it's a small percentage, though.
sure, but for those being laid off, I think that's the issue is like it's a lot of small percentages that are going to add up into pumpkin stop, sweetie. Are going to add up into a lot. And like I know I sometimes come across, I think in these podcasts has like a Luddite, but I'm not anti AI. I'm not convinced that it's in a place. It feels like a lot of people are making a lot of movements and using AI as a shield, whereas I'm not convinced that a lot of the benefits. So like one of the phrases here, the world's changing, transformed. What was it? It was one of the first things I read. To get even stronger by further reducing bureaucracy, removing layers, and shifting resources. I mean, all that is just sort of business speak for laying people off. But
Right.
I mean, I've in the past 3 weeks, I have done I think 4 calls to various like kind of corporations and one to the IRS, and all put me in like an AI phone loop where I wasn't able to get anything done. And so there's just kind of that where it's just like, well, the quality of service is going to decrease. But I think to your point, I mean, the first thing you said was that you don't think you're going to get a lot of like quality work out of it. So I'm kind of, I want to hear your thoughts on that from the development standpoint,
Well, as far as my use in AI with development, you mean, or
or just your
I
thoughts
mean,
on it. You know,
oh, okay. I mean, because I do use it quite a bit just to have a conversation with it, have someone to bounce ideas off of. But it does lie to me on occasion, or make things up. So it's still kind of a problem. And I know there was, what was it? Was it Delta that had an AI chatbot that promised somebody some kind of a discount? They ended up having to honor some discount that didn't exist.
mm,
So, we're
okay,
we're
I hadn't
still
heard
not
about
quite
that.
there. Oh no, it was one of the airlines I thought that had that. That's been a little while now, I thought.
Yeah, I don't doubt
Hopefully
it.
they fix it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I asked. I think it was probably Google AI had asked a question about something last week, and like within the same sentence, it contradicted itself because it was like, no, this because of blah 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 blah. I was like, but that doesn't mean what you said. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, we had a. I don't know if you attended the GDEX AI talk, but I thought we had a pretty good panel about sort of generative AI for
Hmm.
assets and stuff. And one of the things that the Microsoft guy, Brian Sherwin, mentioned is that AI right now is all backwards looking. Like it takes information that exists already and then
Hmm.
it recombobulates it into some kind of answer or whatever. Uh, and it's not super forward thinking because it isn't actually AI. It's just sort of like pattern recognition assembly
Hmm.
structures. Um, and so I'm My worry is always, particularly in the game space, because we're seeing all of this, is like, how do I phrase this? If creating technologies and efficiencies to help you get things done, I think is valuable.
Mhm.
But when we're creating in the game space, we're creating experiences, we're creating stories, we're supposed to be connecting to people. Like the goal isn't just to get to the end. Like the journey is the important part in a
Mhm.
creative effort. And I feel like we're losing a lot of that um, in this sort of like quest to just get things done quickly. But I don't know. Maybe I'm off. Am I a luddite, Jason? Am I just an old man screaming at clouds?
I'll give you a little positive spin on it here.
Okay, please.
In the situation that we're in, we have one person that does a lot of our design work, a lot of our UI design, and he is tapped
Hmm.
constantly on different projects. So for me to be able to get a hold of him, I have you maybe have to wait a week or two, you know. So I had a question the other day about what a store user interface should look like. I had thrown something together in Unity. I took a screenshot of it, and it didn't look bad, but it didn't look great. I put that into ChatGPT and I said, "Hey, can you give me some ideas of what this might look like?" And just rearrange it and organize it. And it
Hmm.
did. And it did a great job. And then I was able to take that and I was able to mimic that and put that into the game, and we're going to use that now. I didn't copy and paste it directly out of ChatGPT. I just used it to kind of, you know, just like you said, here's the information, reorganize that information, and show me a different way to look at things. And it did a really nice job of that. Now,
Yeah.
should we hire another one of these people, no, one of these UI folks? That would be great, but the reality is that we can't. We don't have the funds for it. So.
Yeah. And I think that's ultimately the concern that a lot of people are having is um, if we're using AI to head toward this like Star Trekian utopia, then like that sounds great, but there has to be
Mhm.
something on the back end that will allow um, just normal people to derive that benefit.
Mhm.
Because if we're just using AI to replace jobs, but there's nothing on the back end to help that. Caleb in the chat, he mentions he's not sure that moving faster is a good thing. I think there definitely is a feeling right now where this technology is moving so quickly, and I get it, dude. Like I'm in the industry, right? Like I'm pretty tech savvy, and even I can't keep up with all of this all the time. Like I'm trying to stay on top of it. I read a little bit about it every day, but it is moving really really fast. And I share Caleb's skepticism. I don't know if it's necessarily a good thing. There was an MIT study came out. I don't know, maybe a month ago, 3 or 4 weeks ago, something like that. Um,
Mhm.
maybe not even that long, but whatever. But it showed that like 95% of these AI pilot projects were failures. They're just not working. Or like you
Yeah.
said, they're not. If you can't be certain of the results you're getting, like even if it's like 99% accurate, if that 1% is going to end up giving a discount to a million people that you didn't intend to give, like it's the same thing. Like this conversation happens a lot around Tesla and like self-driving cars, where it's like a 5% failure rate for I don't know, making a chair. Like that's pretty bad. You want like a lower uh, failure rate when you have like a process for developing a chair. But like when you're
Mhm.
talking about cars on the road, a 5% failure rate is insane, right?
Yeah.
So if you can't trust what you're getting, um, and then of course that's not even a big thing in the art world as well as the video game world is just copy protection and theft, right? Since AI is generating, it's one thing if it's generating ideas, but if it's generating assets based off of other assets, now you're in a wholly different conversation at that point.
Right. But I don't think it's even anywhere near the quality that a person can, that a human being can create as far as a custom asset goes. So to use something that AI concocted, there's always going to be some kind of a quality issue there, and I've never been happy with them
Yeah.
myself. So
Well,
maybe that's
yeah, I agree. I think you and I are roughly the same age. We're in the same ballpark. I'm wondering, does quality even matter anymore? Like, if you can create a product that's going to generate,
we should.
it should. But like, think about
Yeah.
like a movie, right? Like, if you can spend $25 million making a movie using AI that normally would have cost 250 million, and you put it out there, even if it's not as good, if it generates 200 million, $300 million, who the f cares, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I would care as somebody who loves movies. Um, and I always use this. The example I use quite frequently is telecom companies, your
Hmm.
AT&T, Verizon, Sprints, Mints, whatever. Is that I think when you look at particularly customer service and phone AI phone banking, like the quality of that is terrible. Like just trying to get any answer to anything is atrocious. But they don't care because they know that people don't switch cell phone providers. Like it just does not, it's a very small percentage of people will switch cell phone providers. So they know that it doesn't really matter if they all just have this terrible level of quality. They're not really going to lose any money on it, and they're going to gain money because they're not hiring actual people to assist. So that's
Right.
my concern in the video game space is um, I don't know. I play games because I guess I want to experience a piece of art where somebody has something to say and it's going to give me an interesting experience that's going to sit with me. Uh,
But if it's not quality, you're not going to play it, right?
yeah, but that's me. I don't know. There's plenty of people
I,
who
I,
play.
I have a feeling a lot of people feel that way when it comes to video games. There are certainly a lot of options out there
Mhm.
to choose the next video game. I'm usually overwhelmed if I'm trying to
Oh,
pick the
sure.
next one.
Yeah. I am definitely overwhelmed. And the games I want to play these days are all like 50 to 200 hours long. And like, I ain't got
Yeah.
time for that. Nobody got time for that. Um, but I will say, ending on a kind of ending this section on sort of a positive note. I am, whether it's through GDEX and the Sandbox community, whether it's through teaching, whether it's through like the campaigning I'm doing, I talk to a lot of people, and something I'm noticing, particularly among younger folks, is that people really want to get back to like, if you want a sense of authenticity, if you want to call it that, like they want to engage with people and content that is real and as coming from a place of I guess humanity. Um,
Right.
and I think that's something that definitely, I think we're all just kind of getting burnt out on the AI slop, and not even being able to tell what's real. And to Caleb's point on chat here, um, I am actually blown away by how good the AI videos look now. And it happened over a
Mm.
very short period of time. I mean, they're almost indistinguishable from real life at this point. Um, and so it's that the technology is moving at an incredible speed, which is cool. As somebody who likes technology, I'm all about it. But I'm also just not 100% sure where that's getting us ultimately at the end. So along those lines, just real fast, and then we'll jump into something that I think is more interesting and probably more fun. But this article, these are both on Games Industry. EA reports decreases in sales and revenue during quarter two. EA reports a 13% drop overall in sales to 1.81 billion. And then Remedy is quote unquote not satisfied with the quarter three results. Developer records operating loss in quarter three. So July to September 2020. Pumpkin, don't eat my clothes. Down revenue down 32%. So we're seeing a lot of drops in revenue, which might just be the result of, like you just mentioned, there's so much stuff out there that it's almost like I don't know how many games do you buy a year? Do you think?
Me personally,
Yeah.
honestly, about two or three. It's not that much.
Okay. So I
Yeah,
mean
I
that's
haven't
the
even
yeah
most of them.
most people. So the people that watch this show, the people that come to GDEX, the people that are kind of a part of our community, um, we're kind of in it, right? And a lot of people might buy 10 games, 15 games a year, excuse me. But the average consumer, video game consumer, only buys 2 or 3 games a year. They don't buy a
Yeah.
lot, right? They might buy one game they're excited about. They might buy one that's like the big heavy hitter, like a God of War or a GTA or something. And then they might buy one game that like they hear their friends talking about, like some multiplayer game that's like, oh, you should buy it and come play with us, kind of thing. So most people are buying 1 to 3 games a year, and so with just so much stuff out there, and this is a problem that we have when we try to help with the companies at GDEX and in the Sandbox community, is discoverability. It's just so hard to get discovered these days.
Hmm.
There's just so much stuff out there, and it's a tough environment to get out there. So I could see particularly some of EA's games are tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars to make. So those are expensive little giblets to put out there. Plus the marketing, you're spending at least probably that on marketing, right?
Well, they've always been really reliant on their what is it, Madden football,
Mm-hmm.
and they would have an annual release of like the Madden football, and I think they have a FIFA soccer that's EA too, isn't it? And those are like guaranteed sales for them year after year, I think. But yeah, I can't think of an EA game that I played in the last 10, 15 years.
Yeah, I can't either. Like I'm thinking of the EA got acquired by that Saudi company
Hmm.
and Silver Lake and a few others. And I went through and I kind of looked at it and I was like, me personally, I don't really play most EA titles anymore. And so I guess for me, it doesn't really make that much of a difference. But I mean, Plants vs Zombies, I really like that, but that was 15 years ago. I haven't played a new Plants vs. Is there even a new Plants vs Zombies? I don't know. There probably is,
I
but
don't. I think they're still running on the original.
yeah. I mean, I played one, I really liked it, and I played two, and then I just kind of fell off. And I know The Sims is pretty big. That's one of their big titles,
Oh, that is
but
an EA game, isn't it? Yeah.
yeah, because they bought Maxis. But yeah, to your point, Madden and a lot of those other titles, they're sort of continual franchises. But also, if you just keep doing the same thing over and over again, and I'm not familiar enough about the Madden titles to, make a decision or to say this for sure, but the impression that I got, at least generally over the past 15 years, is that they're more or less the same. There hasn't been a lot of innovation going on, which is one of you sort of drove at this earlier when we talked about AI, but when you hear Amazon talking about innovation, I'm kind of curious as like what innovation is AI driving? Because right now it seems like it is replacing easily like repeatable tasks roles, right? But
Yeah.
like, what is it innovating? I don't know. Um, but all right. So here is a very interesting one. At least I think it's interesting. So this is from Kotaku. Microsoft boss explains Xbox controversial new approach to gaming. So I'm going to read here for a second. It's going to take a minute, but having failed to keep up with, this is Kotaku and this is Ethan Gach. Having failed to keep up with PlayStation through 2 successive hardware generations, Microsoft is pivoting Xbox into something other than a conventional console platform. What exact shape this will take remains to be seen, but CEO Satya Nadella just outlined 3 of the core principles that will seemingly guide the new era of Microsoft gaming. So here we go. We want to be a fantastic publisher, similar to the approach of what we did with Office. We're going to be everywhere on every platform. We want to make sure whether it's consoles, whether it's PC, whether it's mobile, whether it's cloud gaming or the TV. So we just want to make sure that games are being enjoyed by gamers everywhere. Second, we also want to do innovative work in the system side on the console and on the PC. And it's kind of funny that people think about the console PC as 2 different things. We built the console because we wanted to build a better PC, which could then perform for gaming. And so I kind of want to revisit some of that conventional wisdom. But at the end of the day, console has an experience that is unparalleled. It delivers performance that's unparalleled, that pushes, I think, the system forward. Okay. So I'm really looking forward to the next console, the next PC gaming, but most importantly, the game business model has to be where we have to invent maybe some new interactive media as well, because after all, gaming's competition is not other gaming. Because after all, gaming's competition is not other gaming. Okay. Gaming's competition is short form video. And so if we as an industry don't continue to innovate both how we produce, what we produce, how we think about distribution, the economic model, best way to innovate is to have good margins, because that's the way you can fund riskier projects. That to me sounded like a bunch of gobbledygook, but I'm curious if you had any thoughts on that. Xbox has been struggling against PlayStation for 2 generations now. The PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 have been outselling the Xbox pretty significantly, like 2 to 1. And it sounds like Microsoft's trying to find ways to circumvent that. Games Pass was a big one. Do you have Games Pass? Do you use that at all?
No, I don't. I don't even have the PlayStation Pass or Plus or
Wow.
so. Yeah.
Um, so I don't know, man. Like I've said this before, but like I really feel like the gaming industry broadly benefits when there's 3 players in the market. And right now you've
Hmm.
got Nintendo, PlayStation, Xbox. I don't know what the market looks like if it's just Nintendo and PlayStation. Um, and if Xbox decides to not create a console, or if they create, I don't know what an Xbox PC hybrid device even is. Like that just sounds like a computer to me.
I
Um,
mean, it really with different software, a custom version of Windows maybe, which is all the Xbox is a PC with a custom version of Windows on it. Am I right?
yeah, well, I mean, the Xbox originally, this was a big thing when the first Xbox first came out. Was that the engineers were like, hey, we don't want to use Windows, and that
Mhm.
started a giant, like a notoriously, it's called the Valentine's Day Massacre. There's YouTube videos and stuff about it, but Bill Gates and Microsoft was like, what do you mean you're going to create a gaming console that doesn't use Windows? Like Windows is our thing. How can you not use Windows? And they were like,
Yeah.
look, we want to create a first and foremost a gaming device, and Windows for all it's capable of doing is kind of a bloated piece of software if you're just trying to create a really streamlined gaming environment. And
Yeah.
so the first iterations of the Xbox were built kind of from the ground up, not as a Windows platform. Now you can make the argument they obviously like learned and understood, like they didn't just create it out of thin air, right? Like they used what they knew and what was available from Windows for it.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, if you're the words for, if I parse through the lines here and maybe tell me if I'm off, it sounds like they're going to focus on being a publisher and creating a games distribution system rather than really focusing on the console. That's kind of what I was getting out of it, but I don't know your thoughts.
Well, it sounds like I might be able to play Xbox games on my PC now, which is all I've really ever wanted. I've always thought that I keep a gaming PC that is capable, and I never thought I need to go buy a new piece of hardware just to be able to play a game. And I didn't really like that about Xbox because they were basically giving me the same experience on a console that I didn't need. Just let me play it on my PC. And many times those games would also be available on the PC, and so that I would just buy them for the PC.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
you predominantly
PlayStation,
a PC gamer
too
then?
many exclusive titles though.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I am dominantly a PC, but I do
Okay.
have a PlayStation as well. But the PlayStation is for those titles that you can only play on the PlayStation that I wanted to play.
Okay. So the exclusivity got you.
It had to. It was the only way I could play them. So,
Yeah. Well, that
although
ties
I
it.
wish I had bought Baldur's Gate for the PC.
Oh yeah, really? Why's that?
Yeah, in the end, yeah.
Okay. Um, it's yeah. Another interesting thing is last week Xbox more or less announced that they're moving. I don't think they said every game, but they're pretty much moving. I would say 90-95% of their titles will also be on PlayStation. So it sounds like Xbox exclusivity is just not going to be a thing for the foreseeable future. I mean, hell, I just downloaded Outer Worlds 2 I played Outer Worlds 1, which I really enjoyed. Wasn't
Mhm.
like the world's best game, but I enjoyed it. And I was like, oh, this is like a really good foundation from Obsidian for what a future game could look like. And then they announced Outer Worlds 2, and I was like, okay, awesome. I'm really excited. And then Microsoft bought Bethesda and Obsidian and all of them in that big acquisition. And they announced Outer Worlds 2 was going to be an Xbox exclusive. And I was like, no, no, I want to play my Outer Worlds 2. But then probably, I don't even know, maybe 9 months to a year after that, they kind of reneged and said Outer Worlds 2 is going to be multi-platform. So here I am playing on
Yeah.
my PlayStation, which is exciting. A lot of Sony games have been making their way to PC. So like Last of Us, God of War, I think Horizon Zero Dawn's on there. Um, so maybe the age of exclusivity is kind of on the way out. I don't know if that would be a bad thing for gamers necessarily. What do you think?
I think it wouldn't be a bad thing for gamers, but it'd probably be a bad thing for hardware, PlayStation and Xbox and those types of people. So
Yeah.
because that's what gets people to buy their hardware. I bought a Switch 2 for Mario Kart. That's the only reason why
Yeah,
I
the
bought it.
Mario
It's a
Kart world.
Mario
Hmm.
Kart player.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm a little bit different in the sense that I like the PlayStation. One, I think consoles. I do agree with Satya in the sense that I think consoles do deliver exceptional performance for the price point
Mhm.
because when they're able to really engineer something into a tight package, when they're able to get purchasing discounts because they're buying in bulk, right? Then you can get some really strong. You will always be able to build a stronger PC than a console, but the question is, do you want to spend $2,000, $2,500 to do it, right?
Yeah.
And so for me, having a console that performs well, so I got a PS5 Pro that performs well, that I'm not constantly updating drivers on and having to like put new pieces into, but that's for me. I know some folks, maybe you're one of those, but many of my friends in the space, like they like tinkering with the PC. They like updating their pieces every 6 months. Are you in that vein?
Oh yeah, I actually I purchased my last desktop, but only because I love the case. I bought a HP Omen, and the case is just fantastic the way it's designed, and it's is customizable. So I can open
Hmm.
up the back, easily access everything. It's really nice and neat. Um, it's over here. I'd show it to you, but but the point was is I bought a computer for a case and that I can update and customize, and immediately I added a hard drive, I added RAM, I you know
Yeah,
so
yeah,
to but that's my background. I came out of IT. I did maybe about 10 years in IT where I was building computers, tinkering and troubleshooting and stuff like that before I went into development. So that may just be me. Now, I will say this though, that the biggest problem with having to get everything to work on every PC is for a developer. When you're developing for a console, you know what that hardware is going to be. So
yeah,
you can push hardware right to the edge and get the best performance out of that. And you have all of the different variations because maybe you got a couple of different Xboxes, but you can buy three Xboxes and test it on all of those Xboxes and make sure it works. Whereas if people are building custom PCs and you're relying on that, you have different chipsets, different processors, different video cards, and you have to make sure it works on all of those formats. And it's difficult and it would be expensive to try to put together all of those most up-to-date machines.
yeah, totally. I think that I'll teach students and stuff, and we'll kind of talk about these or sometimes have conversations. Like just look at what Naughty Dog, for example, is able to do. Like even The Last of Us on the PS3, that game looks great for a PS3
Mhm.
game. Like people forget that that was a PS3 game when it first came out. Um, and they're able to do that because Naughty Dog is a exclusive first party developer, and so they just become intimately familiar with that tech, and they're able to kind of like squeeze every ounce of juice out of it. Whereas when you're developing for multiple platforms, even with Outer Worlds, like I don't know if you ever listened to the Digital Foundry YouTube channel, but it's a really good one. I highly recommend it. You probably enjoy it. But they do a lot of like kind of deep dives into games from a tech perspective, and they'll do like a lot of frame rate testing and things. And they've noticed that there's some obvious issues between the PlayStation, Xbox, and PC versions of Outer World. And probably that's a result of that game being developed kind of exclusively for Xbox initially and then opening it up to PlayStation later. Even though consoles right now are, like you said, they're more or less like glorified PCs, there's still some differences between the environments. And so there's little things on the edge cases that if you're just not familiar with, or what most likely is just you got to get the game out the door. You don't have time to refine it and optimize it for each platform. But I just this sounds weird. I don't know. Again, maybe we're just I say we. I won't speak for you, but I say kind of I'm old, but like you feel like there's going to be a loss. I've never been like a fanboy console war kind of guy, but there is something to be said when there's a language that kind of PlayStation uses compared to Xbox, and there's a type of game that PlayStation likes to develop more than Xbox. And
Yeah.
when you kind of are a part of that environment, right now I just don't. Maybe this is why Xbox ain't doing so great, but there's just not a lot of exclusive titles on the Xbox world that I care about. Like Fable sounds kind of interesting to me. I'd love to see
Actually,
a
I'm
new
really
Fable.
excited about Fable.
Okay, yeah. But
Yeah.
otherwise, like I mean, Gears of War, they just did the Gears of War remake, and that came out on PlayStation. So yeah, for me, it's just I don't see anything interesting. But then I think about PlayStation, and I'm just like Last of Us, God of War, Returnal. I really like. Like thinking about all those exclusives, I just really really enjoyed the PlayStation exclusives. Um,
They had Final Fantasy for a
yeah,
lot of years too, as exclusives.
yeah. I mean, the Final Fantasy VII remake and Rebirth I thought have been were really really fun. But there's also we kind of live in a time where our shared reality doesn't exist anymore. Everything's so personalized, and you're in your own bubble that it just feels like it's another thing where we're diversifying, we're spreading out over the landscape instead of having a big sort of centralized community. Like that's, and maybe I'm wrong, but that's what I feel like Xbox might become if they don't have their own console and they don't have their own ecosystem and their own kind of exclusives, then they just become another PC. And at that point, what's the benefit of buying
Well,
an
there's
Xbox PC?
Yeah, and I agree, but there's historic precedents. We saw it happen with Atari. We saw it happen with Sega. They
Uh-huh.
they dropped their
And how
consoles,
are all
and
them doing?
I mean they're still here, right? Although
Fair
Atari
enough.
did release that console recently as a retro gimmick. I don't know anybody who bought into it, but
Yeah. Yeah, I think it would be, even as somebody who doesn't really purchase Xbox stuff, I think it'd be a shame if they sort of left the space, because also I've mentioned this before, but like PlayStation is better because of Xbox. When
Mhm.
when Xbox when Xbox released their Games Pass, so Xbox saw it was losing the console generation. It was like we need to do something to get players back. They released Games Pass, which at the time was like hands down the best deal in gaming you could get, like hands down. It forced PlayStation to up their game and create a better PlayStation Plus subscription. And now the PlayStation subscription is far better than it was because of that competition. And Nintendo is kind of off on its own island, all the time. It does its own thing. And so
Mhm.
I don't think you'll get that kind of competition between Sony and Nintendo. I think you'll end up just, in essence, having two kind of like sub monopolies within the industry. And my worry is that as gamers, we won't get the benefit of that as consumers the way we would by having a really strong Xbox. But also, like Xbox, man, they did. Microsoft does this shit all the time. Whether it's the Zune or the Windows Phone or even Windows now. Like a lot of people really, really dislike the new version of Windows, and we're sad to see like that was it Windows 10 just got deprecated, I think.
Right.
And so Windows just, or sorry, Microsoft just does not seem to know how to keep a product going. And I don't know if it's like a lack of internal cohesion or like a lack of soul, if you want to call it that, whatever it is. But they can't seem to. I mean, we're what 40 years into Microsoft, 45 years into Microsoft existing, and they're still their primary benchmark is still Windows, which
Well, I think part of the issue might also be that Microsoft isn't known for fun. They're known for business.
yeah, yeah,
So who wants to buy the business gaming, you know,
yeah.
platform? So
Well, that brings up the concern I have when the PlayStation 3 came out. Like that was PlayStation to a T. They were riding the high off the PlayStation 2. They were like, here's our new device. It cost $600 back in 2005, which is like almost $1,000 now.
yeah, and it's an affordable Blu-ray player.
Yeah, but PlayStation had to kind of get kicked in the gut for a few years by the Xbox 360 before they started changing their tune and becoming a more friendly, approachable company that they kind of are today. And I think you need, I don't know, it's good. You need a competitor in the space to kind of keep you honest, I think, sometimes. Helps
What about
you,
all these?
go ahead.
What about all these Steam Deck type devices coming out? There's several manufacturers coming out with their own handheld consoles.
Yeah. Yeah. You mentioned, what was it? The ROG. Is that what you, uh,
I don't think I did, but yeah, that's one of
okay.
them. Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, I've heard really good things about the ROG player that people really like. Um, so I have a feeling that that's what Xbox is hinting at is that they're gonna let other develop like designers, manufacturers make an Xbox, and then maybe there'll be some sort of like franchise brand that you can purchase and put on top of it.
Mhm.
So whoever Asus could create the next Xbox, and it'll be the Asus Xbox, and in order to call it an Xbox, it has to get official Microsoft approval, and maybe there'll be some kind of like, I don't know, back end chipset on it that can run Xbox stuff natively. But that just feels like it's the kind of the direction that it's going, more like a licensing franchise sort of thing. But who knows, man? Who knows? All right. Well, we got a few minutes left. I just kind of like to chat with you about you're sort of doing your stuff at Nationwide. You've been helping at GDEX. You've been a speaker, but what do you see in the next couple of years that you're excited about? Is there anything like personally that you'd like to do? Do you want to be able to get back into like making more games or anything? Or
Well, I mean, I'm always in kind of in my free time making games.
Mm.
I've even dabbled a little bit into board games and stuff like that
Oh,
too.
cool. Did you know I have a
I
board
actually,
game design company? Did you know that?
do you really?
Yeah. Yeah,
I
we've
didn't know that.
released one product. We've got one. If you're ever interested in playing, I've got a game called Villains. Um, that it's a board game. My friend Jeremy is like the lead on it. And during COVID, when we couldn't get together, he was like, it was weird. It was like he was doing this like clandestine work, and he was like doing stuff in the background. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? I was like, oh, I can't tell you because if I don't finish it, I don't want to like be embarrassed. And it turns out he coded a digital version of Villains so that we could play that board game while we were in quarantine. So
Oh,
if
cool.
you're ever interested in playing, we have a digital version. We generally play once a week, usually Thursday evenings, but there's other times. Happy to invite you. We can talk offline about it if you're ever interested in playing some board games.
Sure. Yeah, yeah. So, what was it last year? The company came to me, Nationwide Children's came to me, and they said, "Hey, we would like you to host the White Elephant Gift Exchange." And it was just a White Elephant Gift Exchange. You make a list on Excel spreadsheet and you
Mm-hmm.
randomize it, and that's your order. But I've always thought, man, there's like 40 people in this group, and that's going to be tough to manage. So I created a Dungeons and Dragons based manager for White Elephant gift exchanges. I call it Dragon's Horde. It's up on itch.io, so you can check it out for free if you want to. But it's I just threw this thing together because that's the way I enjoy my evenings,
Yeah.
sometimes. So just as an example, but it turned out pretty fun. And everybody said they had a really good time, and I got volunteered to do it again this year.
That's that's
So,
awesome. That's awesome.
as much as the public speaking I do, I still get nervous about it, and it's not my favorite thing, but I think
Sure.
pretty much everybody feels that way. So, but
Yeah, yeah. I mean, public
um,
speaking. I say this to my students. It's a skill that you get better at over time,
it
and
is.
then also sometimes you're just like, I just don't want to be up there talking. I don't want to be the center of attention.
And you got to practice it. You
Hmm.
absolutely have to practice.
Yeah, for sure. Um,
So.
well, that's cool. So, what kind of board games are you interested in, or do you like doing?
Oh man, I have a group of friends that like a lot of people do. I would love to get back into Dungeons and Dragons. I really, really would, but all of my friends have kids,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
so nobody has time.
yeah.
But we do occasionally get together. One of our favorites is Werewolf. Have you?
Hmm.
Oh no, wait, One Night. It's called One Night, I
One
think.
night. Okay.
Yeah. But it's the one where you deal out the cards, and two people are werewolves, and you have to try to find one of the werewolves, and if you don't find a werewolf, the people who aren't werewolves lose. If you find a werewolf, then the people who aren't werewolves win. So
Okay.
it's a lying, a deception type game. Mafia, I think, is the what it was mostly based
Yeah.
on, the old card.
Yeah. People really love Mafia. I've never played it, but I know a lot of people speak very highly of it, and they really enjoy it.
Mhm.
All right, Pumpkin. I gotta get you off. You're killing me here. You're killing me. Um. Yeah. And I D&D. I haven't done D&D in forever, but yeah, I feel you. Like, there's I don't know if you know what Twilight Imperium is. That's a game we really like, and my friend
Mhm.
group. But it takes like 10 to 12 hours to play it, and the idea of getting 5 or 6 people together on a Saturday for 12 hours is just like, it's just not going to happen at this point in our life. There was a time where we could get people together and do it, but now everybody's busy. And by the time the weekend rolls around, we're all exhausted these days.
It's
So
true.
I get it. It's hard, and that's also one of the challenging things about the board game space. Like, as people who develop games trying to look for publishers, they're looking for those quick, small bite games, like those Cards Against Humanity kind of things, where it's like, can this game be played in like 30 minutes to 45 minutes, maybe an hour? Because that's
Right.
what's selling right now. Because the other longer games, the campaign based stuff, it's just hard to get people together.
Yep. Yep. It's got to be quick to play, and you got to be able to learn it fast, and get through it. And if it has common elements to other games that you might have played in the past, then it's easier, and more quickly learned. So yeah, yeah, that definitely is kind of where things are at. And that was actually why when we were in high school, we switched over from Dungeons and Dragons to Magic the Gathering, because
Hmm.
we could work on our decks on our own time, and then sit down and play a game in 20 minutes, and then take off and go to work or go to school or do our thing. So,
Yeah.
yep.
Well, sweet man. On that note, this has been episode 84 of the Sandbox.Space weekly podcast. Really appreciate you being here, Jason. It was a
Yeah,
great
appreciate the opportunity.
great conversation. I'm super grateful for everything that you've done for GDEX and to help support the community, and all of the people there. Just a reminder to everybody listening that we do record live at 10 a.m. Eastern every Wednesday. You can find us on Twitch, and then we also post these on YouTube's. But yeah, this has been episode 84. So on behalf of myself, Baby, Pumpkin, everybody in the chat, and our special guest, thank you all for watching, and I will see you next week.